Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nate G. It is 2 o'clock. This is DPL Open House, day number 3 on Wednesday. And this is a lesson on Options 101 for those of you who trade the TPS system or like to trade the TPS system. We need to know how to trade options, okay? And we need to know what an option does, and then also what we need to consider when we are taking an options trade, because it is not as simple as taking a trade in the stock. The option will move, the option value will move significantly more, both to the downside and to the upside. And so that's why we use it. Options help us leverage our the money in our account. It provides leverage. So when a trade goes the way you want it to, you get more bang for your buck on that particular trade. We frequently hit 100, 200% winners in here. But it can also go against you pretty heavily if the trade is also going against you. So can the value. Okay, so right now we have crowd. We all love crowd. We've been playing crowd, and right now it has a 78-minute squeeze that we like. So we're going to talk about how to play a 78-minute squeeze in crowd. Okay, so we're going to play it with options. Okay, crowd trades at $188.33. So an option contract, one option contract, is effectively you are controlling 100 shares of the underlying stock. So one contract. Now I'm talking about buying calls and buying puts. I'm not talking about spreads. I'm not talking about butterflies. I'm not talking about selling options naked. This is options 101. And so in options 101, we buy calls or we buy puts. Okay. Calls are something we would buy if we expect the underlying stock to go up. That's how we capture the up movements. And if we want to be bearish and we want to capture the down movements, we're going to buy puts. Okay? If you're hearing two voices, you probably have two versions of the room open. Okay? So buying calls, frequently you'll hear bought to open. Right? That means we're opening the trade and we bought it. We bought to open. Bought to open calls means it is a bullish trade. Ticks are coming up. Love to see that. Okay. Let's go. So buying to open calls is a bullish trade. Buying to open puts is a bearish trade. Any questions on that? Okay. So when we are buying options, let's say we want to buy options in crowd because we think crowd is going to break this high and move up, right? And we want to capture that move. So we're going to buy a call. Now, I'm going to bring over an options chain here on crowd so you can see what that looks like. We've been talking today, right, about... You can see crowd is up here in the upper corner. We've been talking today about it being options expiration week. Normally in an options chain, you can see each weekly expiration. Right? Here's the October 20s. Here's the October 27s. Here's the November 3rds. Right? They're each a week out. And as you can see, on the left side of an options chain are the calls, at least for Thinkorswim, but in most brokers, and the right side are puts. Okay? So if we wanted to control 100 shares of crowd, it's going to cost us, let's just say we want at the money, it's going to cost us roughly $3.10 per share. So if I buy this option contract, the bid is $3, the ask is $3.25. Let's say we can kind of hit the middle there at $3.10 when we buy it. It's going to cost us $3.10 per contract. Okay, per share, which will amount to $310 in your account. Okay, so if you wanted to control 200 shares, you would buy 2 option contracts. Okay, if you can't hear me, hold on. Let me just toggle the sound thing. Okay. Now, can anyone tell me, so let's say we're going to buy the 187.50 calls in crowd expiring this week. If I'm buying the 187.50s and I'm controlling 100 shares, do I need what will this strike move a full dollar for every? Will it move evenly? If the stock moves $1, will the option also move $1? Karen says no. If I buy the 187.5s and we move up $1, will the option move a full dollar? No, right? And that's because, and this is very, very important when we're doing options, we want to look at the Greeks. There's 2 Greeks that are really important in Options 101. The first Greek that we look at is the delta, okay? So you can see here on the delta for the option contract 187.50s in crowd expiring this week, it's 0.58 delta, which means that for every dollar move in the stock, okay, so crowd is at 188.61. You can see that up here, right? If it moves to 189.61, this option contract will only move 58 cents for that dollar move. Okay? That's an at the money option, usually around 50 delta. If you go to a higher delta, if you buy the 172.50s, you almost get a 1-for-1 move in the stock. But you're gonna pay $1,600 for that one option contract. Okay, so you're leveraging your money, but you're also not getting a full move. Now, as the stock moves up, your delta moves up with it. Okay? As we go higher, as we get to 187.50, 185, right? So the more the option moves in the direction you want it to, the better the larger move you're getting per that option. Okay? Most of the time, we're buying in the money options, usually kind of at the money, right? The 58s, maybe the 72s. Sometimes you can buy the 41s, the one below that's slightly out of the money. But when we'll get into theta here in a minute, if you do that, you want to make sure you're 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out. Okay? So is there any question on how delta works in an option contract? It's how much how much the option itself will move per a dollar move in the underlying stock. I can't tell if my chat's frozen or not. Okay? So, now the other thing we need to worry about in an options contract is the theta. Okay? Theta is time decay. So you can think about it, if we go all the way out here to these January 19th, 2024s in crowd, you're going to pay $1,600 for one contract at 190. But over the next 2 months, over the next month or two, if that just goes sideways, the value is going to stay very close to the same. Okay? Because the option is 93 days out. You can see that down here. As you get closer to expiration, and especially the week of expiration, theta decay increases. Okay, it's like one of those half bell curves. Now the ticks are ticking back down. Ticks are all over the place. This is Thinkorswim that we were looking at right now. Okay, so if we are going to buy, if we want to play this 78-minute chart in crowd, right? Let's just get rid of the drawings for now. Let's say we want to play this chart in crowd and we're going to buy right now. And what we're hoping happens is this thing comes up, breaks out of here, like Nate's TPS, and works its way up to, $93. Let's say $93 is our target. Okay? And we're looking for a break of this sort of double top here. All right? So, should we buy, if we're looking for that on a 78-minute chart, should we buy options that expire in 2 days? Right. No, I mean, you can. That's your choice. But the chance that you're going to get your move to 193 in the next 2 days is pretty slim. Right? On a 78-minute chart. Now, if we were playing shop on a 5-minute chart, that's not even a good setup. Everything's going to look bearish right now. But if we're playing a 5-minute chart, sure, because you're probably going to take that off today or tomorrow. Right? But if you're playing a 78-minute chart, I recommend coming at least 3 weeks out. I mean, this is less than half a week, day one, right? Or on buy date. So you really have, 2.5 weeks. I would buy at least out 16 days at the monies right here, because it gives you time for that option to work without getting destroyed on theta. Okay? I only have delta on this chart. I don't have theta. But theta is a real thing for all options, and it is something that accelerates the closer you get to the option's expiration date. So if we were going to buy, here I'll show you how I would do this. I'll even bring in my active trader so that we can talk about it. So if I do that, hold on, let me do this. Sorry, just a minute. I didn't have my chart set up the way I wanted to. Okay. So here's an active trader window. So if you're in Thinkorswim or anything else, right? I now know I want to play crowd. I'm playing the 78-minute chart. I'm going to come out 16 days. So these would be the November 3rds. Okay. I'm not making this trade, by the way. So just this is just an example. Okay. I'm going to buy the November 3rds. It's far enough out. I'm going to buy the 190s. So I'm slightly out of the money. I'm going to copy it. All right. I'm going to click on it, right click it, copy it, and then I'm going to paste it in here. Okay. So then the 190s come up. I can see, I want to buy one contract. Here's the bid on the left-hand side. Here's the ask on the right. If I was going to buy it, I'd click that button. I'd buy this option at $5.35, which would mean it would take $535 out of my account. Okay. And then with an active trader, like this is why I like Thinkorswim a lot, is I can actively buy and sell the options while still looking at the underlying chart, because my support and resistance levels are on the underlying chart. So that's how you play options. So if a stock kind of goes nowhere, this is why we talk about. Does anybody have questions on how theta affects an option? No, theta does not work per dollar. It is a time-based Greek. Okay, my delta in this is 48. So that means roughly 50. So for every dollar move right now at this level, my option is going to move 50 cents or 48 cents to be exact. But as it moves up, if it's going in the right direction, your delta works for you. Yeah, theta does continue to degrade your options over the weekend. Yes, 100%. There's also things like IV, like if we get news, all the option prices will jump. Or if it's really quiet, all the option prices will come down. That's just fluctuations in kind of implied volatility. That's more, playing into that is a more of a advanced options tactic, but it's just important to know. So if the market's moving up based on news, the price for your 190s right here at 525 or 535, if all of a sudden we had an event, a news event that started moving the market up, even if crowd didn't move a single cent in its underlying stock, these options would all of a sudden jump in price, because that's another factor of options. There's an IV push, right? Which is why we like to buy if we're playing a oh God, what's Netflix have today? Earnings. My goodness, my brain. If we're playing earnings, like let's say does Crowd have earnings coming up anytime soon? Yeah, so Crowd has earnings on what date is this? Hold on. So if we were going to play earnings run, let's say into Crowd, that's November 2nd. So then when we come back to our options, let's say we were going to play, we think Crowd is going to run into options, right? So run into earnings. We're going to play the November 3rds because this is the week that they have their earnings. And even if Crowd goes nowhere into earnings, because this is the earnings strike, the IV is going to hold and actually start to go up in this option. Okay? Whereas these, it will not. So news events also factor in. So if I'm playing these November 3rds at 5:30, 5:35, and Crowd goes against me, right? What's my max risk? What am I risking if crowd goes to zero? What's my max risk? That's right. $535 plus whatever the option cost was, 60 cents, right? So I'm risking the premium paid. Now, if it goes against me, I don't want to wait all the way until November 3rd and just let it expire, worthless, right? But I could, and that would be my risk. That's the risk. Okay. So when you put on an option trade, understand that you're risking that full value. And crowd doesn't have to go to zero for that to completely deteriorate. It can come down here to 40, 50, 30, 57 or whatever. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on shop now, but it can come down here to 184 and not bounce and just hang out down here until November 3rd, and your option will be worth zero. Okay? So understanding that risk is really important. And then, you have to close your options if you want to. You don't have to close them if you're at zero, but you do have to close them before expiration if you want to take your profit, or save a loss, stop out of a loss. Richard, I usually play slightly at the money, right? I usually play here at the money or slightly in the money. Some people like to give themselves even more value, so this is going to move roughly 75 cents per dollar, but you're paying more for it. I'm going to pay $1,100 for the 180s. If I'm willing to risk $1,100 to $1,200, I prefer to buy two of the 190s, and I can scale in, scale out. T-Bird by feel. I mean, there's ways to calculate decay, but decay is the sharpest the week of options expiration, right? But if you play a 0 DTE or this week's expiration, which we call a lotto, this week's expiration, you can come in here at 190 and buy 5 of those for the same, well, not quite, 4 of those for the same value, but you need this to move today. And that's how we get over that. That's how you get, those 200 and 300% winners. You can put in a stop loss. Yeah, you can say, but just understand, you put in a stop loss, let's say at $5, because that's what you want to risk. It could get there, and that's roughly, let's say, at 187 on your chart. It might not get to 187, and you might still get stopped out because you'll get, options also move quite a bit for very little underlying stock movement. So I know that was quick. Options kind of 101 training, but I kind of hope that helps. I know a lot of people were kind of asking about options and, kind of how to play them and what to buy. Gigi, the worst that happens is you lose $535. HMR, I would sell it when it hit my profit target or stopped me out. And some people use, if the decay of the option isn't going your way and you're at 50% loss, some people just use that as a time, you can have a timed stop out too, right? So my time is, if it's not working in my favor, but theta's starting to eat away at it, then I'm going to take it off at a 50% loss. Okay, guys, that's my time. D-Man, are you in the room? I'm gonna stop the recording and jump off. That's it for me today. I'll be in chat for everybody that has any more questions about this stuff. And I know I need to share a colored block. That colored block in toss. I'll do that in chat. So at any rate, D-Man, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you all. Great day number 3. I put on some great trades today. A lot of snipers that worked out today. So day number 3 down. Take advantage of that $200 off deal. It's a pretty good deal. All right, talk to y'all later.